welcome back to another video. Today we're going to continue this series where I am coloring this beautiful portrait, Yasmin by Maria Budek. This will be the third video in this series. The first video I showed you how to color fiery red hair. I will make sure that is linked in the upper right hand corner if you would like to start from the beginning. All of these videos will be in a playlist. The second video I showed you how to color skin, so we were able to complete just her face, and I've not done the rest of the skin on her body quite yet. I may do that as a speed coloring and tack it onto this video. I'm really not sure yet. We'll see where this goes and how long it takes me to finish her face. But for today's video, I want to color her eyes and of course her eyebrows and her lips. And my idea for the rest of her face is to keep her eyes so that they don't really pop out, but they more sort of just blend in with her hair, and so it all just comes together. And I've never really done one like this before because usually I try to make everything on the face when I'm doing a portrait really pop and stand out. But for this video, I want to try to make her look a little bit more, I don't know, just more natural, I guess, and I may apply a little bit of eyeshadow and things like that, but we'll see where we go with this. I've got some ideas, but of course, as most of you know, when I have ideas in the very beginning, they don't always turn out that way in the end, but usually I'm very happy with what has come of it. So let's go ahead and start coloring in her face. If you check the description box below, you will find links for my Facebook group if you would like to join us over there, as well as my Etsy store, my email list, and my Patreon if you would like to support me there. I'm also now teaching private coloring classes via Zoom if you would like to join me for some of those classes. And if you would like to get information for that, you can email me at coloringwithpamela@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get into this video and start bringing this beautiful portrait to life. So I had some comments in my last video. I had asked y'all for suggestions for her eyes, and someone said to create amber eyes. And a lot of you, because originally I was going to give her green eyes, but a lot of you had said that I've already done green eyes, and so you didn't want to see that again. And that's fine. So I am going to do something a little bit different than I've done before, and I am going to give her amber colored eyes, or at least I'm going to try. So we'll see where this goes. So let's go ahead, and I picked some colors. And so the first color I have here for her eyes is the burnt ochre. And I'm going to start, I always start in the very upper part of the eye, and I make that a lot darker. So I've said this in many of the previous videos. This image is all grayscale, and grayscale is wonderful because it gives you a guide and you can kind of just follow it. So you use the different levels of grayscale, the darkest, the medium grayscale, and then the lightest grayscale, and you just sort of follow that and use that as a guide with your pencils. Now, if you can see this, I don't know if you could see this, but there are little highlights in her eyes that the artist put there. So I'm just going to take those highlights and I'm going to color over them, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to create my own highlights where I want to put them. And it may be in the same place, but I want to be able to color eyes the way that I would normally color eyes without the other highlights sort of, I guess, being a distraction for me so that I could come back and just do it the way that I want to do it. Now I have my goldenrod, and so I'm going to come down from the top and I'm going to pull this down just a little bit further, and I'm going to spread out this line down here at the bottom so that it doesn't look like a harsh line. I know y'all have heard me say that before. So I'm only pulling the goldenrod down maybe about halfway. And then I am going to take one of my favorite highlight colors, the cream, and I am going to pull that color down, and I'm going to put this one this color all the way around to the bottom. And I think we have a pretty good start. Now I really want to intensify her eye and make it look much more dramatic. So I've got my dark brown. I want my shadows. When I'm doing eyes, I like my shadows to be very, very dark, and then the lightest colors to be very, very light, because that's what makes the eyes really pop and stand out, or at least I think so. So right here at the very top portion of the eye, I'm coming in here, and where this lid is going to meet her eye, I'm going to make sure that that is much darker. So I'm using this dark brown just to really create that look and intensify that right in there. So she's going to have eyes that are sort of like brown, but with an ambery type tone, if that makes sense. At least that's what I'm going for. So when you're doing eyes, you want to make sure to be able to create that depth. You take your darkest color and you very lightly just go around the very outer edge of the eye. Now I'm going to come back with the goldenrod, and I'm going to pull that down a little bit further. What I'm doing is I'm just going around and I'm just creating the layers and blending them all in so that nothing looks too harsh. And then I'm going to use my cream again and add a little bit more of that. But I think this has made for a really pretty eye color, and it just blends right in there with her hair. And I pulled a couple of the colors that I used from her hair, but not all of them. So I'm going to make my darkest areas a little bit darker. Again, this is the dark brown that I'm doing this with. Let me turn her just a little bit. Never be afraid to turn your coloring page or your coloring book so that you can get the angle that you need to color that you're most comfortable with. I'm going to add a little more goldenrod. And I don't even think I used goldenrod in her hair. Gosh, no, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I did not use goldenrod in her hair. But look how pretty. And then I'm going to take my cream and I'm just going to make this highlight a little more dramatic. And then I'm going to turn her back around and I'm going to take my dark brown, and I want to make her look a little bit more realistic. So I'm going to make these very light lines coming out of the pupil of her eye. Oh, I think that looks really good. Oh, I like that. So sometimes you just have to be a little bit creative and do what you want. So now I'm going to take black so that I could color her pupil in. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to create my own highlights. So we all know our pupils are black, so we want to create the pupil right there. And that little white spot was the white spot from the highlight that the artist had created. So now we have a pupil, and I think I'm going to come back with my dark brown, and I'm just going to pull that out just a little bit like I did earlier. And then for my highlight of her eye, I'm grabbing my Posca pen. So I've got my Posca, and I'm wondering if I should do this with a gel pen. Let me see here. A little bit of a highlight. I want the highlight to be very, very faint, just so it is just, they look like they're glistening just a very little bit. And then I put one over there on that other side. So now I'm coming back and I'm just darkening everything up right around those highlights. I'm trying not to go over where I put the highlight, because I don't know if a lot of you know this, but you can, if you lay your Posca down and you don't want it there, like I had tried laying a highlight over here on this side and I didn't like it. So I just went back over it with my colored pencils and I just colored over it, and so it just pretty much disappeared. But the Posca pretty much comes right back up, so you don't ever have to worry about your Posca. If you lay it somewhere where you don't want it to be, you can always just lift it right back up. And I'm trying to make her eyes look just a little bit more brown. So I'm just adding a little bit more of my dark brown. And then what I want to do is I want to give her eyes a little bit more of a pop. So I grabbed my canary yellow, and this is being a little bit daring because I don't know, I just don't feel like the cream is enough. But I'm gonna come over here and see if maybe right here, that color will just lay right over. And this paper that I'm using, oh, look how pretty. This paper that I'm using is the Strathmore colored pencil paper, and it is fabulous. I absolutely love this paper. And I will make sure that this paper is linked in the description box below in case you're interested, but this paper is a very close runner-up to the Spring Hill paper that I love so much. Now the Spring Hill paper, that paper is going to be, that paper is whiter, and then this paper is not as white. And I had printed this image out on both papers, and I don't know, I guess it all depends on what you're going for. If you want the background to be much whiter and your coloring to be much more vibrant, then I would go with the Spring Hill paper. But this paper is absolutely wonderful, and I really don't mind that it is a little bit more on the manila side. I mean, it's not all the way manila, but it's not as bright white. So that is one eye, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shade the other eye in, and I'm going to speed this up so that it doesn't take as long now that you have seen me demonstrate one of the eyes. Now that I've finished her eyes, I really like the way that they turned out and how they're not just going pow. I had tried teal eyes, and I printed her out again, and I tried to do teal eyes because I thought that would look really cool, and I really didn't like how they looked, and I didn't like how the teal went with her hair. And so I thought that the amber eyes would really just blend in with her hair but still stand out at the same time. So now we're going to do the eyebrows, and for her eyebrows, I don't want them to be the exact same color as her hair, because as you know, we all have a lot of highlights in our hair, but we don't have those same highlights in our eyebrows. So when I do her eyebrows, I'm going to use the darker shades of what I used in her hair. And I didn't use any dark brown in her hair, but I'm going to bring the dark brown in too, so that it sort of balances it out between her eyes and her hair. So when you're doing eyebrows, you want to do a flicking motion, and as you can see, if you look at these eyebrows, they are very realistic, so the lines are already there for you. So what you're doing is you're just following the grayscale. You're putting your darkest color where the darker lines of the eyebrow are, like right in here. So I think I need to turn this so that I could get a better angle, because your strokes need to go in the direction of the eyebrow, and it's going this direction. So for me to be most comfortable, I need to be like this. So I'm going to come over here from this side. I think I need to turn it a little bit more, but I'm going to come over here from this side. You need to make sure your lead is nice and sharp. I used my Doll 133 to make sure I had this beautiful lead, and I am going to come in here with my dark brown, and I'm just going to start adding some of this. And as I do this, I'm going to turn my pencils. I like to do this so that every time I'm doing something like this that is very, very intricate, I like to make sure that my lead stays at the same sharpness all around the entire lead of the pencil. And it really seems to help. Okay, so I've got quite a bit of that color in there. Now I think I am going to get my burnt ochre, and I'm going to make some of the strands burnt ochre now. And again, these colors are just going to blend in with one another. And that is what you're supposed to do. So when you're doing fur, eyelashes, things like that, you're taking many different colors and you're just putting them together. And what do I want to use for my lightest color? Let me try to figure this out here. I think I want to do, let me go ahead and add a little bit of the pumpkin orange. And I think I need to turn this just a little. Oh, that's pretty. So that's really going to brighten it up now. And then I'm going to come back with my dark brown again, and I'm going to darken it up just a bit more. But I'm still going to have all of that other color in there from the pumpkin orange, and what else did I use? The pumpkin orange and the burnt ochre, I think. But this is going to darken it back up so that her eyebrows do stand out and don't look necessarily the same color as her hair. This is so difficult to do while I'm filming. Okay, I think I like the way that it looks. What do y'all think? I think I need to fill in just a little bit more. So I'm just coming back here and I'm making quite a few layers just to add in some of that brown. Oh my goodness, I love her eyebrow, and look how she is just coming to life. So I'm going to use my doll over here just to sharpen my pencil a little bit more, because it's really tricky to get in here with, especially with the Prismacolors, because the lead doesn't, because they're so soft, and so it doesn't necessarily stay exactly the way that I want it, but I want a really sharp lead to be able to make this look like actual strands. And then I'm going to come back one more time with my dark brown, and I am going to make a few more strands. And I think this is probably going to finish it off, but this dark brown is really what is pulling the whole idea together for me. And I think her eyebrows go up a little bit further, but I don't want to go too high. And then they go down over here just a little bit. I love these colors together. Oh, I love them. And when you're doing eyebrows, like, I know that this one is a lot more realistic looking and everything is already drawn in for you, but feel free to make the eyebrows the way you want. Like, if you want the eyebrows to look a little bushier or stand out or have like a few little, I don't know if you've watched like makeup tutorials and such, but when the girls on those makeup tutorials, they do their eyebrows, they sometimes like some of their eyebrows to just stand out just a little bit, like a few little strands. And there's so many different styles of eyebrows when you do your eyebrows, and you need to be able to bring that to your portraits as well. So you can watch makeup tutorials, which is what I do. I watch a lot of the makeup tutorials, and I watch how the girls in the makeup tutorials or the artists in the makeup tutorials put on their makeup. And I sort of try to bring that to my coloring books when I'm doing this sort of thing. Now that I'm coming over here to this eyebrow, you can see that the hairs on this eyebrow are going a different direction, and this one's probably going to be a lot easier for me to do just because it's over on this side of the page. It's so hard to film and talk and do the commentary and the tutorial part at the same time while I'm coloring and be able to focus and concentrate and make sure that y'all can still see what I'm doing. But this is my burnt ochre, and so I'm going to come over here and add some of this, and I'm just mixing this in just like I did earlier with this other color. And yes, this side is so much easier. And now I'm going to grab my pumpkin orange, and I think I need to sharpen this one. Like I said earlier, it is so much easier to make sure your lead is super, super sharp. And also, after you sharpen, make sure you blow it off or brush it off or whatever, just to get those shavings and things off of your tip of your pencil. And sometimes it might be a little bit of pigment, so you don't want that to lay onto your coloring page. If you can see over here on my coloring page, one of my pencils fell on it. And so hopefully I'll be able to cover that up when I come in and I do a background. I was so upset. My pencil literally fell and made a mark, and I already erased it so much that I just did not want to erase it anymore. So I'm going to come back with my dark brown now, and I am going to fill them in just a little bit, making them a little bit darker. But I'm just using this dark brown just to really darken up her eyebrows, because I want her eyebrows to really stand out, and I don't want them to look like her hair. I mean, I want them to look like her hair, but I don't want all those highlights and everything to be there. So I'm using more so of the dark brown, and I'm using these other colors to make them stand out. I'm really using the dark brown to make sure I'm using the flicking motion to make sure that the lines remain so that they actually look like actual hairs in her eyebrows. But again, the Prismacolors do lose their sharpness really, really quickly because they're so soft. So it's a little more difficult to do with the Prismacolors. Had I not already started with Prismacolors, I probably would have grabbed my luminance and finished those off. But we've got her eyebrows done, we've got her eyes done, and I think we need to go ahead and do something to her lips. And we do still need to finish the eyes. We need to finish the eyes all around in these areas here. Okay, so I think I've decided on some colors for her lips. I have pumpkin orange, peach, light peach, and terracotta, and white. And so this is where I'm starting. I don't know if I'm going to grab other colors or not grab other colors, but I'm going to go slowly because I'm not really sure. Like I always say, I'm not really sure where I'm going with this. So I'm going to take my pumpkin orange and start shading some of her lips in over here at the top and where I see the darkest grayscale. Now this is not my lightest color, so I'm just sort of being really careful about where I lay this. It's not my darkest color either, as you know. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my terracotta and I'm going to try to add a little bit of shadow in here. And this is going to dramatically change the way that it looks. And again, I'm just following what I see on the grayscale. So anywhere I see the darkest of the grayscale, I'm going to shade those areas in much darker. There's a lot of highlights in her lips if I were to follow all of the grayscale, so I'm going to sort of do just a little bit of my own thing. So now I'm coming back with the pumpkin orange, and I'm going to pull these colors out just a little bit towards the center. I usually always do red lips, and so I've never done lips in this color, but like I said, I wanted her face and everything about her face to really blend in and look really nice with the color I chose for her hair. So let me go ahead and grab my terracotta again, and I'm going to sort of line all of the areas where I see the darkest grayscale. So like over here, I'm going to use a little bit more pressure, and right up under here, and then over here, and then towards the top of her lip over here on this side, and then as I come over here. Now I'm going to come back again, and I just keep alternating the colors and pulling them down further into her lips, trying to keep these colors out of the lightest areas. And down here on the bottom, I'm still going very, very lightly. Okay, so let me go ahead and start to try to bring some of this together. So I've got my peach, and I'm going to use the peach just to blend some of these colors together and pull them down. And this color combination, oh, it's just beautiful. Okay, so see, I left a little bit of white up here in this part of her lip, and I'm blending these together and bringing them through as well. And I'm going to need to add quite a bit more color down here in the bottom part of her lips. But over here where it's very white, I don't really want to go that far into that area because I still have my light peach and then I still have white to be able to create some highlights. Now to make her lips look a little bit more realistic, I am going to just do a little bit of lining on her lips. And I should probably be pulling them up just a little bit higher. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the top, but I think that gave them a little bit more of a realistic look. And then I'm going to use this terracotta and I'm going to come down here and I'm really going to emphasize the bottom part of her lip just to make it look a little bit more dramatic. And when I do lips, I do them really slowly because I don't want to mess them up. And everything when you're coloring that you do slowly, it always turns out better. If you rush and just start laying a bunch of colors down on the paper and then you're dissatisfied with how it turned out, and I don't know, I don't want to feel that way. So I just do everything very slowly. So now I have my light peach and I'm going to add quite a bit of highlight here on her lips. Look how pretty this is. Oh my goodness. And I'm going over those lines that I made earlier where I said I wanted to make her lips look much more realistic, and I'm going over those, but it's not going to get rid of them. So if you want, when you come in here with your lighter highlight color, just to keep those lines that were helping to make her lips look more realistic, make sure that you go in an up and down motion. That way it will keep the lines there very faintly and just sort of blend that highlight color in. But oh my gosh, I can't believe how beautiful these turned out. Look. So I'm just going to come back and keep adding a little bit more color just to intensify her lips and make them look quite a bit more dramatic in the areas where I want them to be darker and lighter, and where I want my midtones to really stand out and the highlights. I'm just going to continue to come back in here and play with these colors and lay them over one another and intensify how her lips look, making them a little bit more realistic than they already are, and creating the amount of depth that I want them to have. Okay, so I sharpen my pencil because you need to make sure, like I said earlier, that you've got a pretty sharp lead when you're doing this. And where you add the more dramatic, intense color or your darkest shadowing color, you want to make sure that you come back with the next lightest color and you pull those colors through and out just a little bit. As you can see, as I go through and I do this, I'm just still adding a few more of those lines, making her lips look a little bit more realistic, because I don't want to lose that. And I'll probably do it again with my darkest color, but they're really coming together nicely. You see how I'm just turning my pencil as I use that flicking motion, just to make sure I keep that really nice sharp tip and keep it balanced on all ends of the pencil. So I think they look really, really nice, but I think I need a little bit more of my highlight color here. And again, I'm just going to go up and down. And at the same time, I'm just pulling all of these colors together. Oh, I love these colors together. This is so pretty. That's such a pretty color combination. And I finally got a brush the other day when I did my shop with me. I picked up that brush for $1 at the, what was that store called that I went? I'll link that in the upper right hand corner, but it was a really, really cool store. It's called Pop Shelf, and they have so many different things in that store. But I just picked up a makeup brush for $1, and look how pretty it is, because it's got all this beautiful glitter on it. I love it. And I've been needing one of those for so long. But I think that her lips, they look pretty good. I really, really like them. And I think I want to try and add just a little bit of Posca, just to add a little bit more of a highlight here. And then I'll probably come back and go over them just a little bit just to blend them out. And then I'm going to take my highlight color and blend those in, just so that it doesn't look like a lump of paint. But I really like how they turned out. They're so pretty. I've never done that color before. I'm excited. So I think everything has just really come together beautifully. And it looks like she probably needs a little bit of makeup up here on her eyes. So I think I've decided to go ahead and do the same thing around her eyes that I've done in the other parts of her, like just keeping everything very sort of monochromatic, but not so much, and just bringing the colors all together so that everything is balanced. And so I'm going to give her a little bit of eyeshadow, but I'm going to make it bright and pop at the same time as I make it just sort of blend in. So let's see what I can do here. So I grabbed my canary yellow because over here on the outer part of her eyes, I want this to dramatically stand out, and I want this part of her eye right here to be white. And I'm trying something new because I've never done this before, but I think I already added my white in here, but because the grayscale is the color that it is, it's not standing out as much. So I might grab my Posca and give her quite a bit of a highlight. So I want this part right here to just really dramatically stand out. And so I did that with the canary yellow. And so I'm going to come back with my burnt ochre, and I am going to just do this very lightly and sort of blend both of these colors together so that the yellow is still there, but the burnt ochre is going over the top of it. And it's going to look so different, but I think it's going to be pretty. We'll see. And of course, if I don't like the way that it looks, I can come back and change it up just a little bit. So I'm adding the burnt ochre over here as well. Okay, so I think that added the right amount of color that we need, but I grabbed my light umber and I am going to add a little bit of color here with my bright umber as well, just so that this part of her eye really stands out where her lid meets the top part of her eye here under her brow. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I think that I probably should intensify this line here as well and make it just a little bit darker so her eyes just really pop. Now, when you do this, make sure that your lid is really sharp, like I said earlier. And I'm just going all the way around her eye. And then I think I need a little bit more of my burnt ochre. I'm gonna add a little bit more burnt ochre over here. And then I'm going to come in with my canary yellow again and just put that little pop right in there. Oh, I think that made such a huge difference. Now I'm going to come down below her eye and I'm just going to add a little bit of eyeliner here. And I want it to be quite a bit more dramatic. So I'm coming all the way out here, and this is actually my light umber that I'm using to do this with. And I'm coming all the way into her tear duct over here, or just below her tear duct, I should say. But I think that's really pretty, and it probably added just what we needed. Make sure I come out here and do the same thing and darken this up over here and just a little bit in this area here as well. And then over here where this part of her eye comes down into the whites of her eye, I want to make this look a little bit more dramatic by just really making a shadow there. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here on this part of her eye. And I think it's really standing out now quite a bit. Can you all see that? And I'm gonna have to do the same thing now to the other side, to the other eye. So let me see if I can remember what I did. Okay, so since I showed you how to do it on that eye, when I come to the other eye, I am going to speed it up to music so y'all could just watch her come to life. And then we're gonna come back and I'm gonna show you how to do the eyelashes after I finish that. So now I want to come back with my Posca pen, and I want to, on the very inner corner of her eyes, I want to create a highlight. So I'm just going to lay some of that over here. And I'm not going to use my finger and lift it up again because I think that looks really, really good. And I'm going to do the same thing over here to the other side. And this one, I probably need to, yeah, that worked. Let me take it off and do it again. See, if you mess up and you don't like it, you just do it again. And I think it's looking better. Yeah, now it looks good. So that's what I wanted to do. But look how cool that looks. And she's got that white that looks like, you know, when the girls in the makeup videos or whatever, when they're doing the makeup instruction and they show that they have that white in the corner of their eyes that is just like really reflective. That is the look that I really wanted to go ahead and bring to this portrait, and I really, really love it. So the last thing we need to do is we need to come back and we need to draw on her eyelashes. Now your eyelashes naturally go different directions according to, you know, what part of your eye it is. And so to make them look very natural, you need to make sure you follow the lines. And these eyelashes are already drawn in for us. We're just going to make them look much more dramatic than they already are, because when we colored in these other areas all around her eye, we sort of went over those eyelashes quite a bit. So we're going to come back and we are going to redraw in a lot of those eyelashes we can't see anymore. Now, when you're doing this, like, you don't have to always follow exactly what the artist did. If you want to make her eyelashes really dramatic, like she's wearing false eyelashes or something, and you want to make her eyeshadows go way up higher than what the artist actually drew in, you could totally do that, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Let's see where we end up going with this. So I'm just going to start drawing some of these in, and I'm going to use this flicking motion, and I'm thinking I might need to get black. Oh, how pretty. I'm going to get my black pencil. Now see, if you change your mind while you're working, it's fine to do that. So if you do something and you don't care for it and you think it needs to look a little bit more dramatic or what have you, then you just come back and you redo it. So let's come down here and do the bottom ones. Oh, how pretty. Okay, so let me go ahead and finish off with the other eye. Oh, I think she turned out so pretty. I really, really love it. Now, I don't know. Do I want to come back and do something else? I feel like I want to take this black and make her eyes look much more intense. I think I'm going to come under here and see. Oh, yes, I like it. I like it. I like it. And let me do the same thing over here. Now, I'm not pressing hard at all when I do that because the black is extremely pigmented and you don't want to mess up when you're using black. Oh yeah, that just made her eyes dramatically pop. Oh, I love it, love it, love it. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Oh, I think she looks really good. So I think that's probably where we're gonna stop for this video because I'm pretty sure the video's gone on quite a while because I've been sitting here for quite a while. And I want to go get some lunch and it's already 4 o'clock. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun bringing her face to life, and I love how it just all comes together and everything still stands out, but she is like, her face blends together very well with the colors in her hair. I love, love, love how this came together. And so we are going to move on to her tattoos next, and I may do a speed through for those of you that want to see it for the rest of her skin on her body. If you want to see that, please let me know in the comments below because I want to do what y'all want to see. So if y'all want to see that, definitely let me know, and I check my comments every single day, several times a day. So let me know what you want to see next. I think that we're going to go ahead and go to the tattoos, but I'd like to know if you want to see me do the skin, even if it is on a very fast speed through set to music. I will have the playlist for this series linked in the upper right hand corner if you would like to follow it from the beginning. And of course, this will always sit on my channel. So if you want to purchase this beautiful portrait from Mariola's Etsy store, I will have that linked down in the description box below so that you can follow along with this color along and do this with me from the beginning to the end. I will see y'all in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Happy coloring. Bye.